Ahead, strong reports on sales from holiday shopping. A former Middle East ruler heads back to court and cuddles for a cub. Siku's story a little later in the show. Here's your morning briefing for this Wednesday. Two reports on weekly chain store sales show healthy gains for retailers at this crucial time of year. The International Council of Shopping Centers and Redbook each said sales rose more than 4% in the days leading up to Christmas compared to the same week a year ago. That comes even after figures were adjusted for a positive calendar effect as Christmas fell on the weekend, giving consumers a full shopping week before the holiday. With those retail reports, we lead our stocks to watch today with the S&P 500 retail ETF, the XRT. Also, Eastman Kodak, after a filing indicated two of its board members who work for KKR resigned. One analyst tells Reuters it could mean Kodak is close to a bankruptcy filing or KKR is considering buying some of its assets. In Europe, a successful bond auction from Italy is calming debt concerns for the moment. Let's go now to Nigel Stevenson in London. Well, Nigel, I see that yields are coming down.
They are just a bit, Fred. Good morning. Yes, large signs of relief all around today as Italian short-term debt costs halved at this morning's auction as a new package of budget austerity and an injection of cheap long-term money from the ECB won Rome some respite in thin year-end markets. However, the main event is still tomorrow, and analysts warn that market tensions could easily reignite when Italy tries to sell up to €8.5 billion, around $11 billion of longer-term bonds. The good news for today, though, the average yield of 3.25%, at which Italy sold €9 billion of six-month BOT bills, was down from a Euro lifetime record of 6.5% just a month earlier. Fred?
A respite, you say, Nigel, but how are stocks reacting to the news?
Well, worries about the auction certainly led to a negative open this morning, but since then, European indexes are largely reversing their earlier losses. The DAX is down just a touch at the moment, but the FTSE 100 and the CAC 40 are both showing some gains. Italian banks such as Intesa Sanpaolo benefiting. Also, British supermarket chain Tesco doing well after a report that post-Christmas sales were at the same level as 2009. Fred?
Nigel, Europe is awaiting an S&P decision on a possible downgrade, but from what I understand, not everyone is complaining.
You could put it that way, as France prepares for a possible credit rating downgrade. One AAA that is safe as the AAA champagne, something the French could find a lot more palatable than its Moody's or Standard & Poor's namesake. The champagne is classed as a Grand Cru, with grapes from the heart of the Champagne region, Avise, Aï and Ambonnet, from where it got its AAA name. A bottle of 3A is worth around €40, and with only 5,000 made a year, the bottles could become as elusive as France's AAA rating. Fred, back to you.
A coincidence on those initials. Thanks a lot, Nigel. North Korea said goodbye to its former leader Kim Jong-il. Tens of thousands of mourners lined the streets of Pyongyang in freezing weather. State television showed civilians weeping and stricken with grief as the funeral procession passed by. Kim's son and heir, Kim Jong-un, walked next to the hearse. The procession ended with a 21-gun salute. Arab League monitors said they saw nothing frightening in their initial visit to the deadly Assyrian city of Homs. Amateur video showed angry people demanding international protection as they crowded around the monitors. The visit did not stop the violence. An activist group said security forces killed 15 people yesterday, 6 of them in Homs. The chief monitor said a long investigation is needed to determine whether Syria is ending the 9-month military crackdown on protesters. The trial of ousted Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak resumed Wednesday in Cairo after a 2-month delay. An ambulance transported Mubarak, who was then wheeled into court on a stretcher. He faces charges ranging from corruption to his involvement in the deaths of hundreds of protesters. The case could drag on for months or years. And finally, the polar bear cub that has become a YouTube sensation. It's Siku. Danish zookeepers pulled the month-old cutie from his cage after his mother did not produce enough milk. 3 staffers feed and look after the animal around the clock. Siku has already doubled his weight since birth, but is still only about 8 pounds. Now, a healthy adult polar bear should weigh 100 times about that. I guess you could call him the polar heir to Canute. That's that German cub cutie. Well, that's your morning briefing this Wednesday. I'm Fred Katayama, and this is Reuters.